All right, welcome back, students. In this video, we're going to do Module 4, Topic 3, Part 2. This is rotations about a point. In the last topic, or the last part of the last topic, we were rotating about the origin. And today, we're going to learn about rotating around a point. We're going to add some extra steps in there. We'll talk about it in just a minute. We're on page 13 of the Module 4 packet. For this topic, we have standard GR 2.1. Given a pre-image, an image, describe the transformation and represent the transformation algebraically using coordinates. We also have GR 2.3, identify a sequence of transformations that will map a given figure onto itself or onto another congruent or similar figure. The objective for this topic, you guys are going to use rigid transformations to rotate figures on the coordinate plane and describes the effects of rotations. And the essential question for this topic is, how do you rotate a figure about a point other than the origin? Of course, that's what we're going to learn after the warm-up. So again, page 13, go ahead and try to work the warm-up here. This is rotating about the origin, so just use the rules from the last topic. I'm going to wait about 3 seconds, give you the chance to pause, work the warm-up, and then unpause and see how you did. All right, so page 13, the warm-up. Rotate the figure 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So counterclockwise, we're going to go this way. So 90 degrees, we're going to go from here to here. And our coordinate rule for a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation, our x comma y, is going to be negative y comma x. So the first thing we need to do is plot these 4 points. So A is here at 1, -4. B is at 4, -4. C is at 4, -2. And D is at 1, -2. All right, so if we're just, we're multiplying y by -1 and putting it, interchanging the x and y. So x comma y becomes negative y comma x. So if A is 1, -4, this is going to turn into 4, and the -1 still stays negative because the sign doesn't change. I'm sorry, wait a minute. That's positive 1, -4. So this is, my bad. The -4 is going to become positive, and the 1 stays positive, so just ignore that. All right, B is 4, -4. So our y multiplied by -1, so that 4 becomes positive, and then our other 4 stays positive. C was at 4, -2, so -2 becomes positive 2. The 4 stays the same and just goes to the back coordinate there. And then for D, positive 1, -2. So your -2 is going to become positive 2, and the 1 just goes to the back. Let's just go ahead and plot these so we can see our work. So A was at positive 4, positive 1. B is positive 4, positive 4. C is positive 2, positive 4. And D is at positive 2, positive 1. Okay. So notice how our figure, and I think I mentioned this in class to you guys. We'll look at gift card here. So our gift card is like this, rectangle, long way on the top and bottom, short sides on the left and right. As it rotates this way to get 90 degrees. Oops. So see how it lines up. And if we went 180, it would be this way. And then as we went 270, it would be this way to get back to 360, or how we originally started. Just wanted to show you guys that real quick. All right, still on page 13. Go down to our lesson. So rotations about a point. Our example here, rotate triangle ABC 270 degrees about point C. First thing we need to do graph our points. Now, actually, they've told us a B is at 5, 2, 5, 2. C is at 2, 1. And A is at 2, 3. So, excuse me. All right, so when we're rotating about a point instead of the origin, we're going to have to subtract the point we're rotating from each point and then add it back in, because that will allow us to change the origin from here to wherever that point is. This being 2, 1, our origin would move from here, it would go over 2 and up 1. So we subtract that out of these points and then add it back in. So for B is at 5, 2. They want us to rotate about point C. C is 2, 1. So we subtract point C, or 2, 1, from point B. So just line them up, X's and Y's. So 5 minus 2 is 3, 2 minus 1 is 1. So now we use our coordinate rules. So for 270, it is your X comma Y becomes Y comma negative X. So say 3, 1, they put the Y up front, the 1, and then multiplied the negative 3 by negative 1 and put it in the back. Then you have to add that point back in. So we add 0.21 back in. So 2 plus 1 is 3. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So our B prime becomes positive 3, negative 2. So let's see, let me do this. So positive 3, negative 2. That's B prime. All right, so let me scoot this just a hair because we're going to need some room. So let's try these steps on points A and C, then graph the new image. Okay, so we'll start with point A. The point A was 2, 3. So like I said, we're going to subtract. I'm going to try to use different colors. We're subtracting out point C. The point C is 2, 1. Now, sometimes these points will be negative, and we'll get into that as we practice on the next page. But for here, these are both positive. So when we subtract, it's just we're subtracting 2 from 2 and 1 from 3. So 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. So that's our new, this is where our point is, subtracting out point C, because we're moving our origin from here to here, mathematically speaking. Now, our coordinate rule, again, for 270 is the X comma Y becomes Y comma negative X. Okay? So, you can't change the sign of a 0, so we're just going to change it to 20 to 02 to 20, because negative, you can't make 0 is neither negative or positive, so you can't change it, and the Y didn't change, it just went up front. So now we're going to add back in our point. See, and that's 2, 1. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 1 plus 0 is 1. So our A prime is positive 4, positive 1. Let's see. So positive 4, positive 1. So our A prime is here. Now, I already know this, but I'm going to show you guys this. So C, if we're rotating on point C, C's not going to change. But let me show you why. So if we have point C is at 2, 1. Okay? We subtract point C, that's 2, 1. 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. Well, these are neither negative or positive, so when you change them, they're still 0, 0. We add 2, 1 back in, our point C, and we ended up C prime. These are both the same, so it doesn't change. So our C prime is the same place, our C and C prime are the same spot. So now we just draw. There you go. Our triangle rotated around that point, so it went 90, 180, 270. It's rotating about this point rather than the origin. Okay. Page 14. Top of the page, number 1. Graph the image of the figure after a 270-degree rotation about point 1,1. So, first thing we need to do, we're just going to call this point A, point B, point C, point D, okay? And then we're going to graph these. So A is at -2, -3. Give a little space. B, -1, -5. C, -3, -6. And lastly, D, -5, -5. Okay. So I'll try to limit this, but we're going to add in, so we have our points 1, 1. So first we're going to add in our point. So rather than write all this extra stuff, I'm going to say, so -2 plus 1 is -1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Sorry, I was subtracting. -3 minus 1 is negative. -2 minus 1 is -3, excuse me. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. Sorry. Ugh, goodness. Wait a minute. Lord. -2, -3. Oh, goodness, you guys. Sorry. Let's just do this. So, -2 minus 1 is -3. -3 minus 1 is -4. We're subtracting first, not adding. So subtracting first. Then we do our coordinate rule. So our coordinate rule for 270-degree, and of course I told you guys, unless it tells us, we're going to assume counterclockwise. So we'll write this above here, your x comma y for a 270-degree counterclockwise is y comma -x. So this is our x comma y. We're going to do this, and then we're going to have to add the point back in. So -3 or -3 will become +3 in the back, and -4 comes up front. We don't change the sign because it's -4 comma. Let me just make -4 comma 3. Now, last change here, we're going to add back in 1, 1. So -4 plus 1 is -3, and 3 plus 1 is 4. So this is our A prime. So again, subtracting, and then we add. Subtracting, subtracting. All right, let's go to B here. B, -1 minus 1 is -2. -5 minus 1 is -6. Let's just do the other two. Well, we'll go in line here. So this is our x comma y. So our x goes in the back, so -2 becomes +2, and then the -6 is up front. And lastly, we add back in our 1, 1. -6 plus 1 is -5. 2 plus 1 is 3. This is our B prime. All right. -3 minus 1 is -4. -6 minus 1 is -7. I'm just going to do these two. -5 minus 1 is -6. -5 minus 1 is -6. Again, x comma y becomes y comma -x. Y comma -x. So your x is multiplied by -1. -4 becomes +4, and -7 goes up front. Here, -6 goes up front. That's the y. The -6 in the front becomes +6 in the back. Okay, now we add our 1, 1 back in. -7 plus 1 is -6. 4 plus 1 is +5. D prime. -6 plus 1 is -5. +6 plus 1 is +7. So let's plot our points here. So A, -3, +4. Say prime. B, -5, +3. C, -6, +5. And then D, -5, +7s. Way up here. So notice it turned and turned and turned, so it flipped all the way around. That's our new figure. And this would have been rotating around this. So it kind of moved in a little bit. Okay, number 2. This is a you-do. I'm going to wait about 3 seconds. Please pause the video here. Try to use the steps I've showed you. And once you're done, unpause the video and see how you did. Okay, number 2. Graph the image of the figure after a 90-degree rotation around the 0.15. Okay, so we're just going to say this is A, this is B, this is C. And A, -3, +4. B, -1, +6. C is -1, +1. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is subtract our point. So -3 minus 1 is -4. 4 minus 5 is -1. -1 minus 1 is -2. 6 minus 5 is 1. -1 minus 1, -2. 1 minus 5 is -4. All right, so 90-degree rotation, about that point. We're going to assume counterclockwise. So let me just write it down here. So your x comma y. So 90 degrees, it's going to be -y comma +x. All right. So we flip our point here. The negative comes up front to positive, and the -4 goes in the back. The -1 here, the +1 multiplied by -1 becomes -1. -2 in the back. And then the y becomes +4, and the -2 in the back. Okay? All right, now we're going to add our point back in. So 2 plus 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. -4 plus +5 is +1. B prime. -1 plus 1 is 0. -2 plus 5 is +3. 4 plus 1 is 5. -2 plus 5 is +3. So let's plot our points. So A is at +2, +1. B is at 0, 3. And then C is at 5, +3. Just trying to wait to see where to. So So again, we rotated from here, so we went. It's not the origin is here now, rather than down here. Does So that's why it looks different than what we were doing before. All right, I'll scoot down here. This is the end of this module, this topic. Like I said, it's a short one. All right, so number 3. Triangle ABC is located at, gives us the coordinates. I'm going to write those down. A, -2, 5. B, 0, 7. C, -2, 7. It says, what are the coordinates of the image? It rotated 180 degrees. And remember, 180 doesn't matter whether it's counterclockwise or clockwise. It's still x comma y, -x, -y. But we're going about point C. That's point C. So we're going to be subtracting out the 2 point. We're going to, here we're dealing with the negative number. I told you we would get to that in a minute. So let me just take point A here. We're going to go -2, 5. We're going to subtract out point C. Point C is -2, 7. Now remember, we're subtracting, so we're taking the opposite of these. I know that's going to be a little confusing. So because we're subtracting, -7, -2 becomes positive, and this becomes negative, okay? So -2 plus 2 is 0. 5 minus 7 is -2. Now we do our rule up here. Our rule is the x goes in the back, which is good because we can't change that sign anyway. And the y, -2, is going to come up front and be +2. So this is a prime. Nope, not yet. Still got to add the point back in. So our rule here, then we go down to add C back in. Again, C is -2, 7. So we don't change it this time. So 2 minus 2 again is 0. And then 0 plus 7 is 7. So our A prime is 0, 7. Okay, C is the point that we're rotating at. So C won't change. So this is already good. Let me just scoot down just a little. So we have to do point B. So B, 0, 7, minus C, -2, 7. So remember, this changes to positive, this changes to negative because we're subtracting. 0 plus 2, +2. 7 minus 7 is 0. All right, our x comma y. So the y is 0. We can't change the sign, so that's 0. The x stays the same. It goes in the back. So just take it up here. So 0, 2 plus c, which is -2, 7. 0 minus 2 is -2, and then 2 plus 7 is 9. So your B prime is right here. Okay? So A prime, B prime, C prime. All right, number 4 is you do. Please pause the video here. I'm going to wait 3 seconds. Try to work this yourself. Once you're done, unpause and see how you did. All right, number 4, triangle ABC is located at, let me write these coordinates, and I'll start out in blue over here. So actually, I'm going to do this. A is 3, -5. And let's see, we're rotating about point B. Okay, so point B, it won't change. So B is going to be 2, 4. And that means B prime is also 2, 4. Okay. Point C is at 2, -7. So these are the same as here, but we're rotating this point instead of this point. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is subtract B. B is 2, 4, so it's subtracting 3 minus 2 is 1. -5 minus 4 is -9. Our coordinate rule for 180 degrees, x comma y, -x comma -y. Okay, so we're just going to flip the signs here. positive 1 becomes negative 1, negative 9 becomes positive 9. Add b back in. 2, 4. Negative 2 plus 1 is positive 1. 9 plus 4 is 13. So your A prime is 113. Okay, let's do the same for C. Subtract B. 2, 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 7, negative 4 makes negative 11. Gotta flip it down here. Can't make a 0. It's neither negative or positive, but this negative 11 becomes positive 11 because we had to flip it. Now we're going to add b back in. Again, it's 2, 4. 0 plus 2 is 2. 11 plus 4 is 15. So your C prime is there. Now this is we're adding a little more difficulty, and we'll continue to do that this year as we progress. If you guys have any questions, let me know in class. Otherwise, have a good evening, and we will see you next time.